In answering the question, why do we do this? Why do we make disciples? We're going to look at some verses in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 17 through 21. Those verses say, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come. All this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation, that God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting men's sins against them. And he has committed to us the message of reconciliation. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God." And so what does verse 17 say? Verse 17 says that we are a new creation. The old person is not there anymore. We're a completely new creation in Christ. Verse 17 tells us that. How did that happen? Verse 21 tells us that Jesus took our sin on the cross. A great exchange happened in those verses. This is what happened. Jesus took our sin on himself, and he replaced it with his righteousness. Jesus took our mess, and he replaced it with his best. And so why did he do that? Verses 18 through 20 tells us that he did that so that we can become his ambassadors to the world, and so that we get to participate in the message of reconciliation, the ministry of reconciliation to the world. That's why he did that. What is an ambassador? An ambassador is a representative. So an ambassador from our country goes to another country, and we represent our country there. Same is true for us as Christ's ambassadors. We go to another person and we represent Christ to that person, whether it's our neighbor across the street or somebody in another country. And so if we are Christ's ambassadors, what do we do with that? What we do is we go to the world. We go to other people. I want you on your piece of paper to write that. This is what happens. This is what you do with that. I want you to write this on your paper. And you put your name. I, Tracy, is what mine says, am Christ's ambassador. And then write this. He is using me to accomplish his mission. That is why we make disciples, because Christ is going to use us to help reconcile the world to himself. And we want you to practice this. Take your piece of paper now on the page that has a number 1, and you go over these verses, and you try to write this out using the verses as references for what all of this means, and go through it and actually say it out loud as you're practicing, and understand what it looks like and what it means for why we make disciples.